There we go. So I've just gone through then and taken 2 inches off of the ends throughout and just blunt cut the bottom, club cutting it through. So through this back section where I'm going to start first, I'm going to lift, I want to sort of lose the parting on top, so we're going to keep it quite short, textured and heavy as it falls forward. So we're really going to layer this through quite a lot, but we're also going to try and aim to keep the ends quite full. So I'm not going to cut loads of the weight out through the bottom. I'm going to lift this up, over exaggerate it, and let some of this length come down so it can sit quite nice and blunt at the bottom. So it's going to be quite a nice textured cut through the top and the sides and soft, but still holding a bit of density and shape through that bottom edge. Okay, so I'm going to start in the middle, the head. I'm just going to section off my sides again. Okay, so just sectioning off those sides, keeping ourselves really nice and neat as we work through. So I'm going to start through this top. So knowing that I want this to have a bit more lift and a bit more texture, I'm going to elevate this up to 90 through here as it comes out the head, and I'm going to take it probably about 6 inches or so long. However, everybody measures their inches. So just through this top section then. So off of this doll's head, it's probably taking about half off through the top area. And again, because I want it a bit softer, I'm just going in and point cutting it with my scissors, so it's not leaving a heavy lined edge. So I'm just going to split that. So the next section I pick up, I'm just working my way around now. Each section through this top is going to have that guide in it. So as I pick it up, I can see my guide through the top just there, and I'm going to point cut these sections off. There we go. So this whole side then has got that top layer in it. You can see that the texture and movement starting to come into it already. So I'm just going to follow it round into this side now and finish off this top section. I'm just going to move back a second so you can see where I'm cutting. So I can see my guide is just through my fingers here, and then I'm cutting everything else away. Okay, so from there we've cut a new length in and a new layer, and I'm just going to work it through now on this next middle section through the center, that we're going to join the two together, but we're going to let a lot of this bottom section drop out to keep it that bit denser and heavier through the bottom. So as I elevate it up, I'm just letting all that hair through here fall down and away. So finding the guide from the top that I put in and letting all the weight and everything fall out the bottom, I'm now just joining these two sections together. I don't know, come a little bit closer and see if you can see it a bit better. So again, I've taken my next section, picking up a bit in the previous one so I can see my guide, and I'm just stretching the hair and joining two sections together. Take it back slightly. So I'm just going to, that's the first side done. I'm just going to finish this across the rest of the back. So again, going back to that center section and picking up a bit of it. So I've got the guide in my hand. I can see the hair just coming through my fingers here. And then this is what needs cutting off. So anything that you see that acts as a triangle, when you bring it out, that's a weight line, and we're taking all that weight line out of this middle section now. The stand's gone very wobbly today. So we did the top at 90, but this is elevating more with the comb sort of up towards this angle. This is probably about a 75-degree angle through this section. And I'm keeping the tension really nice and tight all the way through. I'm not letting it slack too much. Cool, lovely. Right then, so that's the back. We're going to go into the sides now. Unclip these sections. I'm just going to work that top section through to where the fringe is. So this just inch section that I got between the top and the front where I separated the fringe. I'm just going to lift that up and point cut that at 90 through here. That was the dog. Again, I've taken a bit of a section from my back one. I can see where the hair's coming through the top, and I'm point cutting that away. Right then. So letting it fall back into that centre parting, we've now got a bit of a layer sitting through the sides, and we can see how this is just going to fall onto the face. So again, through here, we've already cut the length into the bottom. So we're going to join the two together. Let's see if I can, there we go. So we're lifting this up, taking it out to where the length starts to fall away, which is just there, and then point cutting the two together. So we haven't got as much hair at the sides of our head as we have at the back, so all this back section that fell down first, the sides will look a lot more texturized because obviously the hair falls deeper into the neck behind the ear than it does in front of the ear. So again, lifting it up to where we put that length in, let a little bit drop down, and then we're point cutting from the length to the new layer. So just spin her around. I'm going to do the same again on this front section. Leave it, Jack. Okay, so through here, see it from a different angle, taking it to where the length starts to fall down in front of the ear and point cutting. And then just one more section at the front. Letting that hair drop down, point cutting it up, and then joining it into that top layer. Okay then, so just going to pin this fringe back so it doesn't get in our way. So we've got all the length falling around the bottom. It's keeping it a little bit heavier and fuller through there. Now what we're going to do is work our way back and stretch everything into the front of the face so it falls symmetrically through there. So it's in the centre parting. So it's going to give us that symmetrical feel. Just going to try and do this as well as I can in front of the camera. So I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to pull everything. So I've taken the vertical line from the middle parting down to in front of the ear, and then I'm pulling everything in and forward, so it's coming into sort of the centre of the nose. And I'm just taking off everything that falls through there. So this is just really softening it and rounding it round the front. So then the next section I'm going to do the same. Obviously, the further we work our way back, the less hair there is to come off. So you just want to make sure that your body is in a really good position. You're not twisting yourselves, and that you're only cutting off what falls through, and there's hardly anything there. So that is just shaped it around the face. So I've used the nose as a guide, and I brought everything into that centre section and taken away anything that falls through the fingers, but it's left the length and it's just added more shape through the sides. Do the same again on this side. Again, taking a small section first. Just going to use a clip to hold that back. Sorry. Big arm. Right then, so again, my body's going to be parallel to where I'm pulling it to. I'm nice and straight. I'm not twisting myself round or hanging my arms over. I'm bringing this whole section forward. And bringing that into the nose. Just going to follow the section behind. Again, I'm going to bring that forward. There's only a tiny bit to take off just there, and then join the bottom section into it as well. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that that's all nice and even, because we brought it into that centre section with the nose. It all should fall quite nice and even through there. I'm just pulling down each section, making sure it meets and it's level. Lovely. So just going to pin these bits back a second. I'm going to let that fringe bit drop down. So the reason why I only take it so the hair falls to the end of the eyebrow, unless somebody wants a really, really, really wide fringe, going anything further than the end of the eyebrow will make your forehead look quite wide. So it won't make it look any larger, but it's going to make it look a lot wider. I'm going to take a tiny bit more into here. Do you want to go out, Jack? There we go. Right then, so I'm just going to pull this down. I'm going to see how much bounce there is in the client's hair. There's a little bit of lift through this front section on this side. Again, it's going to be the way that the doll's hair is plugged. So I'm going to aim to take it to the middle of the eye to start with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bit a bit differently, because I'm going to arc the fringe round. I don't want a solid, heavy, blunt fringe. So I'm just going to split this down the middle from where the centre parting sets. I'm going to take one section out and just pin it onto that side so it just sits up out of the way. So as I'm cutting what would be the client's left-hand side, I'm going to stand on the right. And I'm going to judge where I want the end bit to fall, about there. And I'm going to cut it a little bit longer. So I'm going to aim to the bottom of the nose, again, with my fingers pointing down towards the floor and the comb. So not completely up, but at a good sort of 45-degree angle going through there. So all the hair, like, it's just combed really nicely, and it's pulled with a good amount of tension from root to tip. And I'm aiming for the bottom of the nose to start with. And I'm going to let that side come over. So now what I'm going to do is pin that bit out of the way. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm cutting the client's right side with my body position on the left. So again, cutting hair on a doll's head is just so much different because of the way it's plugged. And definitely, if you spend more money on your doll's heads, they're going to be plugged so much better. I think this doll's head was from like a college kit of what they order for the staff, and this doll's head's about, I think it's about 35-40 pound, which, you know, is fine and great to learn on, but when you are doing fringes and things like that, they don't always sit quite as nicely as what it would on a real client. So I'm just going to spray that back through. And then what we can see once we've cut both sides is that we're getting this arc now that's falling around that front section. So now I'm going to join the fringe into these side sections that we've cut already. So what I'm going to do is take this top section and bring it down to sort of where the recession would be. And you can either do this with your scissors and scoop it through, or you could use your razor. So I'm just going to show you a bit of razor cutting. So I'm just going to hold from the corner of where we started that fringe, sorry, where the fringe finishes, and I'm going to push my razor into the hair, being nice and firm, and slide it down the hair and take off all that shape. So this then brings the corner of the fringe into the sides of the hair that we've cut. So it's all going to sit really soft around that front section. Just do the same again on this side and see if I can show you a bit closer. Oh, Jack, shush, please. So just see if I can show you that section. So I've taken it from, again, the highest point of the head of where we've put the centre parting in, and then taking it down to just above the recession then. Okay. I don't know if my arm's going to get in the way a little bit on this one. If it does, I'll try and swap position. So taking it down to where the fringe ends, placing my razor in, and then firmly letting my fingers slide through the hair and taking off everything that's to blend it in. So I'm just going to run it down. So we know that the haircut's quite balanced because we've been checking it from our scissor cut, but obviously when you go through with in your texturizing with razors, thinning scissors, anything like that, you're taking out different amounts through the hair when you're texturizing in that technique. So what I'm going to do then is through these top sections that we put the layer in and we're getting the lift from, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of razor in through them. So I'm taking a horizontal section down the side at the top from the parting. Again, I'm just going to comb the hair out towards me, pinch it together in my fingers so it's nice and tight, and then I'm just going to go through and just lightly skim my razor over, just taking out some of that weight through the top to give it a bit of a softer edge. This razor I'm using is a Keisho razor. I much prefer them to what you tend to get in your kits, in your barbering kits. I don't know if you get them, you should get them in your level 2 kits. I'm just trying to think what you all get. But I it's definitely worth investing in a good quality razor, especially if you are going to be using it a bit more on female hair as well. These ones, they've just got the guarded feather piece in place, and it just gives you a little bit more control. Again, the razor blades aren't that cheap, but they're really, really good quality. And you don't need to change them every time on women's hair when you're just texturizing. It's more when you're using them against the skin on beards and things like that, is where, you know, if anybody's got any skin conditions you don't want to pass on, that's when you're going to be changing your razor blade all the time. Okay, so now just going to have a look at this fringe and how it's sitting and framing the face. So I'm just going to dry it off. I'm going to mute the mic so you don't have to sit and listen to it. And then I'm going to see, shush Jack, I'm going to see how much lift this fringe gets, and then whether we're going to take any more out of it or put any more into it. Okay, I'm just going to mute my mic. I'll be... Okay, so I've just really rough dried that, so literally just finger dried it. So all this top section, like we said, we was getting rid of that sort of centre part, and we wanted it all to fall quite heavy over the top. I'm just flushing my straighteners through, just trying to smooth it out where I've rough dried it quite a bit. Although, you know, I think this is going to be quite a nice finished texture cut, so I wouldn't say go through and straighten the life out of it. You might just want to straighten it through those bottom ends and just get any sort of fluffy frizziness out of the hair. She's still got quite a bit of oil in her hair where I put the extensions in, and it's made it actually quite nice to cut with that in on the doll's head. So you could say this is quite, if you wanted to take a lot of texture out through the bottom and really take the weight line out through there, this would be quite sort of like a mullet type style. But I just wanted to leave that bottom half so it's still blended, but it's nice and heavy, just because it just shows you that you can work this then if somebody's got quite fine hair and they want more volume and more texture in their hair, because I suppose when it's so heavy it just drags it down, that you can put loads of texture into fine hair but still leave the ends looking a little bit fuller and make their hair look a little bit thicker by giving it a load of layers. I think people with fine hair are slightly scared of layers, but you know, by letting that weight line at the bottom drop down and by blunt cutting the bottom area, we've sort of kept that really nice and solid through there, that it looks really thick, but it's also got so much texture through it that they're going to create volume and a bit more style out of their hair. So it's not that anybody with fine hair can't have layers, it's about how you adapt your layers to work for every client, really. My bin men must think I'm still cutting everybody's hair with the amount of stuff I put in the bin. Right then, so through this front section, obviously the fringe is just sitting a bit heavy and long. I mean, some people like that grown out fringe look where they're now wearing it sort of around the face and falling into the hair. So this would definitely work for that, but obviously you want to keep that centre parting in there and bring it round and have it heavier and falling in. That grown out sort of fringe look where it's all quite heavy. But if you want to add a bit more texture through there and have it as more of a textured fringe, I'm just going to go back in and do exactly what I did before. So I'm going to pop that centre parting back in the hair. Because I'm stood on this side, I'm going to start on this side, being lazy, not getting the steps in. So I'm going to part it then from the highest point of the head, and I'm going to bring it down to that kind of recession area like we did before. So I'm just now going to go through this at a higher angle. So I'm going to take all this section out, but I'm going to do it. Let me actually, if I stand on this, can you see it? So I'm just going to pinch the hair together and I'm just going to go in with my razor. So I'm pulling this across the face again, but I'm just going to go slightly higher up. So I've combed it out to that 45-degree angle like we did to the end of the nose. I'm just going up to the cheekbone now. And I'm just going to go in with my razor. And again, pressing quite firm through the hair. And then through this top section, I'm really just going to razor it out a little bit so it's softer. Again, we need to go a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to pull that section across again. I'm just going to work it down now from sort of the corner of the eye. And then through that bottom section, sorry, you can't really see where I'm going from. So now I'm just going to work up with my scissors. And I'm point cutting all of this. As we go through. And now I'm going to do the same on this side. So then this is the difference between the two. I'm just stretching this across, taking the razor out again, and then I'm going to go up and point cut it with the scissors. So stand on this side. Again, taking it down to that kind of recession line. And then go through here. Just going to hold it still. My stand's gone a bit wonky. I'm just going to point cut this up and into the hair. And then I'm just going to pull this top section forward, and then through here where we've got a bit of a weight line, I'm just joining together. Jack, sorry. So again, just point cutting through all that top section. So this is just joining the fringe and that top layer together a little bit. And then I'm just going to lift the fringe up. I just want to add quite a bit of texture through here. So I'm lifting the fringe all the way up, and then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to chip underneath. So I'm literally just working through the hair, chipping it through there. And I'm going to do the same through the other sections, just taking a little bit more of that weight out. I'm just going to go back over this eye and point cut it so it's out the eye. Again, we just don't want to leave anything too square. We want to keep it really nice and shaped. So we've just worked this through then. This has just got quite a lot of texture through here now, with short layers all falling. And then as I combed it, again, by bringing the two sides in, you shouldn't get anything that overhangs the fringe anyway. I still think that fringe can take a little bit more texturizing. So I'm just going to pull it all up. And I'm just going to chip out the top a little bit more hair. Because it's still looking a little bit heavy through this centre section. So I'm just going to grab my razor and I'm just going to take a little bit of weight out with my razor as well. So again, I pulled the hair together, I'm pinching it, and I'm just really softly now, so no tension in the razor at all, really softly just bringing it over the hair, and that's better. So, you know, like at the start of that, we could have left it heavier and more solid as we first cut the fringe and kept it more sort of to the cheekbone coming into the hair, which is quite a fashionable look at the minute, or you can go through and give it loads of texture with the razor bringing it into the sides of the hair. And softening it all around the face. So I'm just running my razor now again through the sides, but stretching the hair forward just to make sure they're really soft and shaped. So depending on how much razor work you've done already, it really is about gaining the confidence with the razor. My first razor cut I ever did was on my cousin, which was good because I ended up crying. I can remember I kept asking people, how do I do this section? How do I do this section that I worked with? And everyone was giving me slightly different answers. And I ended up just bursting into tears because I didn't really know what to do. But it is about, once you've got that confidence, about knowing how much hair your razor takes out, because again, they're all slightly different, a bit like thinning scissors. You can get thinning scissors that, like these ones, are quite close together, or you can get ones that are gapped a bit wider, and obviously they take less hair out. So the closer the gaps are, the more hair it will take away. The more gap they are, the less hair it will take away. And again, with razors, it is about how sharp your blade is, and how big your razor is, how much pressure you're putting in, how much tension there is. So it, you know, that's it's more to get your confidence with, I would say. So just to go over that again, I've left the ends, I blunt cut the bottom, left them really nice and solid to give a heavy look to the bottom of the hair. And again, this is, you know, this is quite a fashion cut because you're incorporating different angles and cutting techniques as you're going through. But like I say, you could layer the whole of the back and have this quite mullety if you wanted, or if your client's got really thick hair, you might want to add a little bit more layer than what I have. I've just kept this really nice and solid around the bottom, club cutting all that, and then I've elevated the top to 90 through this section from where like the crown area would sit through here. Elevated that all up, and then joint, so the 90 to the 0 degree by elevating it to 75 and bringing the two together. That's then added a lot of texture through the top, and we've done the same through the sides, and then we've just kind of gradually brought everything forward, giving it a lot more texture by chipping it through with the scissors and the razor. So I haven't used any sort of thinning scissors or anything on this one today. I wanted to show you a few different techniques with the razor, but really it is about you putting the practice in and gaining your confidence with the razor cuts. I'll just flip the camera so you can see it from a slightly different angle. There we go. So everything's sort of falling through, and I've just really taken a lot of texture and weight out that front line. And you can see through here by guiding that razor all the way down how it softens all these sections through here, but you still got that really nice heavy blunt line. I mean, for my hair I would have to have layers like this because I like volume in my hair, but my hair's so fine that this is the type of cut somebody with my type of hair would need. So again, just really soft around the front and just textured all through this top area. But even as you're bringing it forward, you've not really got any hair that's overhanging the fringe. If the wind blows it, she still needs to see. All right, is there any questions on the haircut from anybody? No.